Detroit Den 313. We are back, Steve and Will, talking that Detroit Lions football. But before we get going, don't forget, bang that subscribe button. Don't forget the bell icon so you don't miss any of our new content. Steve, talk to the people about what we're talking.
William, I know you're not much of a golfer. You're familiar with the game, though, right? A little bit? A little familiar?
Very familiar with the game.
Sometimes when when it's prime golf season, you wake up on a Sunday morning and you're just wishing, dang, I just wish I had a tee time. I wish I had a T. Higgins on my team. How do you feel about T. Higgins, wide receiver, Cincinnati Bengals?
Dog. Underrated. Athletic freak. I feel like the guy, man, he just got caught in a situation to where he had a Jamar Chase on his team. If he didn't, his numbers would be off the charts. It'd be crazy. We'd be talking about him as one of the best receivers in the league. And I still talk about him as one of the best receivers in the league, even though the numbers aren't there because he's sharing footballs. But I think he's an absolute dog, man. We need an X receiver. The guy's 6'4", 220. It can run like a deer. Let's talk about it. How you feel?
I like him as a player. I like everything he does. Even with Jamar Chase, he's put up consistent numbers. Other than 2023, a little bit of an injury concern. I think he did something to his hand or something, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on what he hurt. But 16 games played, 14 games played, 16 games played 3 years before that. Knocking on the door of 1,000 yards as a rookie, 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns. You know what you're going to get with T. Higgins. He's consistent and he's, for the most part, available, except for last year. But, shit happens in football. We'll give it a pass.
I'm going to say this, man. We talked about Danielle Hunter. We've hammered Danielle Hunter over and over. You came on this podcast multiple times and said you would pay Danielle Hunter $20 million. You wouldn't even think about it. I'd pay him $20 million. This is that 30 million number that gets like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So it's been said that T. Higgins is upset about the franchise tag because he thought that when he got tagged, they would still continue negotiations to an extension, and they haven't been doing that. He requested a trade. That's why we're talking about him on this episode. He wants between 20 and 25 mil. Does that interest you still?
Well, I think with Danielle Hunter was more of a position of need. Do the Detroit Lions need I think he would be the second receiver on our team. I think it bumps JMO to 3. Do we need a second receiver more than we needed a started defensive end? I don't think so. The money's not a problem for me. It's just I think Danielle was more of a need for us. Do I need T. Higgins? No. Would I really want him? Absolutely. I think he changes the offense. I think he brings that missing piece, that X receiver. I think our offense would be an absolute nightmare to deal with. But I don't know. It's nothing against T. Higgins. It's just how the Detroit Lions roster is currently shaped, what we currently have. I don't think T. Higgins is that big of a need. I think we can get a receiver in the draft that might not be as good, but is definitely more cheaper. And we have maybe a 5-year contract with him if it's in the first round, depending on who we draft.
So I think that I don't get caught up into the number 1, number 2, number 3 receiver talk for me. It's all about we need an X. We need a guy to play on the outside who's big, strong, and fast, and who inside of the red zone can high point a football. Are there people in this draft that can do that? Kind of. Adonai Mitchell is somebody that we talk about a lot. I don't feel like he high points the football that well. Right? Xavier Liggett is a guy that I love that does high point the football. I think that he is the one that could potentially be there at 29 that could fill that role. So that's one that I would talk about. Outside of that, I don't see anybody that's going to be available. Maybe a Javon Baker, but I don't feel like he does it at the level of Xavier Liggett as far as going up and high pointing the football. Now, T. Higgins is going to be different inside of a red zone. T. Higgins is a freak athlete, special athlete. I think if you put him at the X receiver for the Detroit Lions, our third quarter, second half woes where this scoring goes just off into never land, those problems are fixed. It's a complete upgrade from Josh Reynolds. It's not even a comparison. I think that the dude's 25 years old. He's looking for that 20 to 25 mil, but I think if you get him for a longer span of time, which I'm okay with because he's 25, you sign the dude for 5 years and you give him 19 mil, 18 mil. I would be 100% okay with it. You lock him up, you lock Amon Ra up, extended contracts, 4 or 5 year deals. Now you're looking at T. Higgins, Amon Ra, Sam Laporta still with time on his contract. You still got Jahmyr Gibbs times on his rookie deal contract. I just absolutely think that it would change this offense for the better. Um, it would cover up some defensive problems because who's going to stop us? Who's
Nobody's stopping us now.
uh, yeah, who's gonna stop us, man? Jared Goff has somebody who he can throw it up to. Who over time, man, I think about what Jared Goff had when he was with the Rams. He didn't have a guy like T. Higgins. Since he's been in Detroit, did he have DJ Chark? He did, but he's not like T. Higgins. He's not even a guy either that was going up and plucking footballs out of the air and high pointing them like that. He's a guy that did a decent job of catching 50-50 balls, but it wasn't anything crazy as you've seen, when he left Detroit and kind of
is even in the league still. I don't know.
Wasn't even a big deal. So I think that put this guy in an offense where it's hard to double team him. He'll be an absolute monster. I absolutely love it. I don't know that it's something that Brad Holmes will do, but I'm living in a world where I'm dreaming that I want either T. Higgins or Xavier Liggett on this team when we start the 2020-24 season.
I just think Xavier Liggett's more realistic and more, I don't want to say better fit, but it's more cost effective for the Lions. I don't have to trade for you. I don't have to pay you $20 million a year right off the rip. I have you under contract for 5 years at least, or maximum if I decide to pick up that 5th year option going into year 4. I don't know what Xavier Liggett, like maybe 21, 22 off the top of my head. I'm just guessing. Senior, so I'm guessing he's somewhere around that age. So he's still young. 5 years puts him at 27. I just think he's more of a realistic option, and I'm not trying to knock T. Higgins. T. Higgins is one of my favorite receivers in the league. Him and Jamar Chase are a nice little duo. I secretly, as much as I hate the state of Ohio, I like the Bengals. I like Joe Burrow. I like what the offense does down there. I like T. Higgins. He's a playmaker. I remember him in the AFC Championship game a couple years ago, high pointing a ball against the Chiefs in Kansas City late in the game, I think to tie it up. So he makes plays. That's what he does. You just chuck the ball up in his general vicinity. There's a 70% chance he's going to come down with it. It's not a 50-50 ball. It's a 70-30 ball with him.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's accurate. Liggett is a stronger possibility, but I have to toss that question at you. I picked 29. Xavier Liggett and Fisk are on the board. Who are you going with?
Well, there's a lot of X factors that could go into
okay,
that.
let me go into the X factors. We signed DJ Reader.
Okay.
And we signed Khalil Mack.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Man, you're loading up. You're loading up either way. If you've signed, we just did an episode on Khalil Mack. If you guys want to check that out, I'll tag that to the end of this video. So if we're living in that situation where we have Khalil Mack, DJ Reader, and on the other side of the ball, we can get Xavier Liggett, you're loading up on one or the other. I think your offense is already top 5 in the league. For me, it makes sense to go out and get your defense on par with your offense. So for me, it's probably going to be Braden Fisk. That's my rationale. Now, if it's the other way around and the pick is Xavier Liggett, I'm not mad. It's all good. But I think if you can have a number 1 or a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense in this league, good luck, right? Like what have we been saying the last couple of days? Thoughts and prayers. How are you going to beat both of those offenses and defenses? Don't even mention our special teams. We've been pretty good on special teams too. How are you going to beat us in all 3 phases of the football game? You're not.
You're not. Yeah.
What would you do?
If you're talking about Xavier Liggett and Fisk on the board?
Yeah.
And we signed DJ Reader already?
Same scenario, Khalil Mack.
I'm going to get Xavier Liggett, man, and I'm a defensive guy. I love Fisk. He's a guy that I want really, really bad, but it just boils down to me. The reason why we didn't go to the Super Bowl is because we couldn't score points in the second half. It wasn't because we didn't get enough stops in the first half. That's the only reason. Fisk, I love way more than Xavier Liggett, but I cannot ignore what our struggles were last season, which were for some reason, the second half of football games, our offense didn't decide to come out into the field.
Well, that's not a personnel issue. That was more of we talked about it from like week 3 on. That was just, we didn't make adjustments. That comes down to Ben Johnson, really. Like that was a Ben Johnson issue. Not to get off topic, but yeah, you're right. We didn't score, particularly in the third quarter. I think we were like the worst team in the NFL in the third quarter. We would just collapse. And luckily, most of the time we would fix it and come back in the fourth or pull away. But I don't think that's a personnel issue. I think that's a coaching and adjustment issue.
I think part of it is a personnel issue because I think at some point Jared Goff has to bite down and make it happen too. So I can't put the whole thing on Ben. I don't think that we can call him a wizard and then call him an idiot. Not that that's what you're doing, but say that he's just not getting it done all season. I think at some point when you've been in this league 87 years and on multiple successful teams like Jared Goff, you have to be out there making adjustments to what that defense is doing in front of you. So was that part of the struggles that we were seeing, why we couldn't get the ball moving at the second halves? To me, I give it excuse me, guys, I give it to these guys 50-50. I give 50% of it to Ben and I give 50% of it to Jared Goff. And how can I help both these guys out? Give them another weapon, a weapon that is just like, hey, listen, you get in trouble, throw that ball up, I'll go get it, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson made a career out of doing stuff like that. Hey, I don't know what's going on. Calvin Johnson's down there somewhere. I'm just going to chuck it up and he's going to come down with it.
Yeah. Guys can make it to the Hall of Fame like that, like Dante Culpepper.
Dante Culpepper, Lions legend. How dare you disrespect that man?
Yeah, he didn't do much in Detroit.
Are you nuts? I'm not sure why they're not building the statue.
They sure did a lot.
Hang number 11 in the rafters. Take it off of Khalil Raymond. That number is officially retired. Dante Culpepper, probably a greatest Lions quarterback of all time.
Can I say something real quick?
People are going to probably think I'm serious. Go ahead.
I was about to say, guys, he's joking. So do not kill him. He's joking. If you guys,
what if I'm not joking? What if I am serious? What if I do think Dante Culpepper was the greatest Lions quarterback of all time?
I mean, who's he really competing with besides
Jeff
Stafford?
Garcia?
Okay, let's move on.
All right, guys, we talked about T. Higgins. He'd be a nice little fit for the Detroit Lions. But for me, having to trade for him, having to pay him, I would rather just take the route of going and get Xavier Leggett. I think it's just more realistic. It might not be the better option, but it's the safer option for me. And Will is all in. He's going for T. Higgins. Let us know whose side you're on. Team Will, Team Steve. Hit that comment button. Put it down in the comments down below. We'll talk about it. Hit that like button. If you're new here, Detroit Lions fan, stick around. We're not going anywhere. Detroit Lions all the time. Hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a lot. We'll be back later with some more content.